What have been some of the changes that you've seen? You do have the former IDF soldier in charge of censorship. You obviously have these political pressures. TikTok knows who's coming in and what their goals are with the platform. What have you seen in terms of changes in free speech in general and with Israel in particular?
Yeah, so I know you talked about her, Erica Mindell, former IDF soldier, former State Department contractor. She is documented saying a few years ago that it's her number one goal to destroy the BDS movement. That's her words, and so like you said, the ADL lobbied social media platforms like TikTok and successfully placed her as the head of the hate speech policy and enforcement. And this was on August 13th of this year. The following day, the TikTok pushed out an in-app pop-up for all of its users, explaining that in 1 month's time they would be changing their free speech guidelines. And as I saw this and I thought to myself, this is definitely going to serve, the Zionist narrative. And, lo and behold, September 13th rolls around 1 month later. And in this new free speech update, they transform their hate speech policy. They mandate that people have to condemn terrorist groups designated by the U.S. State Department when mentioned in any videos, even when mentioned in a neutral, reportive, investigative context. They opened the door to classifying anti-Israel speech as hate speech based on their new clause about national origin. They ban the reading of manifestos. They restrict videos from the feed that show videos from war, aka Gaza. And so I've been forced, and other people have been forced, to stop showing real footage, real imagery from the destruction of the Palestinian in the Gaza Strip. And so, as soon as these changes went into effect, my videos started getting banned or removed from the recommendation feed left and right. And to kind of put this into perspective, over the last, almost 2 years before these changes, as I was posting consistently about Palestine every single day, there's only been a handful of videos that I've ever gotten removed. And I looked, and over the last, year prior to September 13th, there was one or two that you could even count. And so very quickly, I racked up about 10 violations, either, removed completely without any recourse to appeal, or, they were either shadow banned. It would get like 100 views from people who only went directly to my profile to view it. And my fellow collaborators, fellow people in the movement on TikTok, I reached out to them and they reported back the same exact thing. I know you showed that Crystal Ball was being censored. I didn't know that. It's insane to me. And, we also believe that more than what they explicitly tell us when they take down or delete our videos or shadow ban it, is that they're doing this secretly and suppressing our views across the board when we talk about certain topics. And there's certain topics that are particularly sensitive under this new free speech regime. It's talking about Charlie Kirk and Israel. Every single video where I've spoken about those two issues connected to each other, I've had them entirely deleted off the platform immediately. When you talk about Palantir, when you talk about AIPAC and their influence over our government, or when you talk about Larry Ellison. Now, this happened, these changes came in effect about halfway into September, and by the end of September, Trump had announced for the first time that Larry Ellison was poised to take control of Americans' TikTok. And Netanyahu, again at the end of September, met with what was the next batch of paid American influencers by the State of Israel's Hasbara budget, which I think has about 190 million in total this year for their budget to pay people to post Zionist propaganda. These are the people who were getting paid $7,000 a post. He met with them in America when he was visiting Donald Trump. And, this is recorded. He is talking to them about their strategy of this eighth front of the war on the Americans' discourse about Israel. And he says that the number one most important thing happening for Israel's narrative right now is the sale of TikTok. Number one, he says, he repeats it, making it very clear that his buddy, Larry Ellison, who once offered him a board seat at his company, Oracle, that's number one donor to the IDF, that, lets Netanyahu vacation on the island he owns in Hawaii, that has data centers underground in Israel that process and store their surveillance data on Palestinians, that fuel their apartheid system and their AI killing machines, that is the most important thing that is about to happen for Israel. And what that tells us is that Larry Ellison, the reason he is taking control of TikTok, that he's buying it, is for Israel. It's for Netanyahu. It's to protect their narrative. And it's frightening because this is aided and facilitated by the Trump regime, who is obviously under the thumb of other MAGAZionist billionaires like Miriam Adelson, and of course Larry Ellison, who's always at the White House.